Feel free.
Good evening.
America, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am feeling good and groovy.
Good. 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 I just had a few questions because I'm
Sure.
very interested. Um. Okay. So with trans men, what what would you say? Okay, because I know. How do I say this? Um. All right. I'll say this basically. What's the difference between a trans man and a butch, AG, or a dyke, as they say?
The difference between a trans man is a butch, an AG, a lesbian is a lesbian. She loves women. She deals with women. She is a woman. She's not anticipating to change her body. She is cisgendered. She's not looking to change her body. She has no feel that she is a man. Although she may carry characteristics of male, masculine characteristics, she's not in the desire to change her body. That's the difference between a trans man and a lesbian woman, because I'm a man.
Mhm.
Looking at me,
Mhm.
I'm a man. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, you know, people say that sometimes when a trans man is still with a lesbian, he's in a lesbian relationship. No, he has identified his gender. Her whole thing is about sexuality. We all
Mhm.
know sexuality is fluid and gender is fluid, and they both are separate. Okay, we know that.
Mhm.
So hers is more about her sexuality, homosexuality. Okay, we're about gender, and my gender, as I identify, is male. Identify as male. I identify within the binary of what is male because that's what my testosterone does for me, and I've accepted that as the trans man I am. So that's what makes it a lot different. Because see, I was
So,
never a lesbian.
oh,
See,
okay.
I was a straight woman
Interesting.
married to three men. And I, being the freaky freak I am, because I'm transsexual and poly, I dealt with women sexually, but never identified as a lesbian. I
Okay.
identified as
Hmm.
transsexual.
Okay. So, all right. So, would you say that uh a lot of women who um who have to, because I'll say on my aspect, a lot of men who date trans women, some of them secretly identify as homosexual or bisexual or whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Um, do you feel that a lot of female women who deal with trans men have to first accept that they're um, sexually attracted somehow to a vagina, or do you feel like because they like men that um how does that go? How does that go?
Okay, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're asking women that are attracted to trans men, are they identifying that they identify, are they attracted towards the bottom half? Are they attracted to what they see physically? Be honest with you, when a woman sees us as men, what you see by face value is what you get. So if
Mm.
a woman is looking at me, she's looking at a little short, attractive, bald-headed man with a thing in his nose and glasses. That's what she's
Mm.
looking at face value. I say nothing. I don't have to say a word to that woman. Now, in
Mm.
time, would I disclose that to her? Should something get ready to pop off, as we say in the streets, then I would expose that to her. But that's only if she and I are really getting ready to really feel each other that much. But as far as being attracted to me as a trans man, she's attracted to what she sees, not because
Right.
we don't expose. The one thing about trans men that a lot of people don't realize, and I love my trans sisters, we don't expose what's going on downstairs because it's easier to make a hole than make a pole, and there's no need to discuss that. Everybody remember that. It's easier to make a hole than a pole. We don't have to discuss that. Unless I'm
Always.
going to bed with you, we will discuss that.
Right. Right.
So for me, I'm open because I do what I do.
I'll say this, I feel like it's a little easier for you only because you can substitute um a penis or whatever with, you know, and this is a pretty open. I hope this is a pretty open dialogue, but you can substitute that with a toy or a dildo or whatnot, right? So it's
We
easier because right. So the female that you do decide to be with, she can still get penetrated, still be treated like a man, and such like that, and things like that. On this side of the fence, it's a little more difficult because no, you can't substitute a vagina with a butthole. So, you know what I mean? So, it's a little bit of a more of a deeper conversation when it comes down to um trans women dealing with men because they're always things that I've heard, men still want vagina in a sense.
mhm.
Um but they stay with it because, you know, the person's attached to that because, you know, because they fell in love with the person, that
Well,
doesn't
that's
mean they
what
don't
they
want.
were raised with. Men were raised with that idea they need to have that vagina. But you put a man's penis in any kind of hole, your hand, your elbow, he'd be good to go. But he's been brought up with that whole feeling of sexual thing that that's what he
Mhm.
desires. Okay. But here's the thing I'm going to say to you that most trans men, some of us, we are versatile sexually. I'm versatile. I use my man cave. Yes, I do. I have no
Okay.
shame in it because, like I said, I was a heterosexual female. I enjoyed the pleasure I got from being penetrated. That's something I will not deny. So I enjoy being on my back once in a blue moon. I will admit that. So my
Mhm.
mate has to be able to please me, which is a problem I have. And I'll say this, being the trans man I am, my problem is finding a woman that's fun, enjoyable, and can satisfy me, not in a lesbian way. Not in a lesbian way because I'm not a lesbian. Never was a lesbian. I want to be satisfied as if I was satisfied. Not every woman that's a lesbian knows how to satisfy a woman, a female body in the person, a female body person that has slept with men.
Mhm. That's
So
true.
now a woman has to deal with me being able to bottom, as you all call it, bottom to
Right.
her, but also treat this body as the man that I am as well.
That's
I'm a
difficult.
very affectionate man. So I need a
Mhm.
woman that's affectionate, that doesn't mind touching. When you're dealing with women and women relationships, a lot of times there are touch me nots.
Mhm.
And you better touch me.
Okay. I mean, this is
Okay?
true.
Because my thing is, a lot of men are very affectionate in intimacy. So why do
Mhm.
I have to put myself on guard for something that's taboo in another world?
Right.
And I'm
Um,
not a woman. I'm a
okay.
man. I want to be touched. I want to be caressed. I want the joys of love and happiness, like Al
Well,
Green
you
says.
know, looking at you, it's as a trans woman myself, looking at you, it would be easy for me because you've put so much effort into your look and you've went so far with the proper steps that you need to take for that. So that would be easier for my visual to be able to connect the two. Even if I may be disconnected a little with the way we would have sex. Not saying that we would be having sex, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying that you know, it would be a disconnection. But then again, I would be it would be from a trans from a I don't know. It's so hard all these fucking topics, but I'm gonna say for myself from a heterosexual transgender mindset. It's I guess it would be hard for me to understand how to please the vagina regardless of who is attached to.
Because you've never dealt with you
Right.
never dealt with female body, is what you're saying.
Right. Exactly. And never really cared to please it, for that matter.
Right. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay for some people. I mean, I don't always use it. It depends on my mate. A lot of it
Hmm.
depends on the mate you're with. Because when you're really into someone, you guys two people together intimately can find out where they can be compatible and be very flexible, very fluid with each other, and they know where their limits and you know your limits are when you mate when you learn. You begin to learn. I think when you love someone, and that's one thing about me being the trans man I am. When I love someone, we know where we can go with that. It has nothing to do with my body. It has to do with my spirit more than anything.
All right. And question, so would you find it easier, or in your time of transitioning and whatnot, whatever different stages that you had to go through, have you found it easier to deal with somebody who's dealt with a female body, or do you find it just as easy or just as difficult to deal with somebody who hasn't or has? Can you explain that a little bit?
I mean, like me dating someone who's female. What do you mean?
Well, like having sex with somebody, a female. Do you find it easier to enjoy or be satisfied with somebody who has dealt with a female body before, or do you find it more difficult when you have somebody who hasn't dealt with a female body before and only dealt with men before?
Are you talking about a cisgendered person or a trans person, or which one are you talking?
Oh, so you date with both? You date both?
Baby, I'm attracted to feminine. I'm attracted to feminine and masculine energy. Being pansexual, that's what it is. So I deal with trans women and I deal with trans. I mean, I dated studs too. And I yes, I've topped a few studs too. I'm just saying, being pansexual, I'm like,
You a little thing.
that's what my mother
You,
called me. She said, I'm just a man whore. That's what she said, you a man whore. But actually,
yeah.
I'm just very attracted to energy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But if I'm with a trans woman, it depends on that woman. And if I'm with a cisgender woman, it depends on that woman. Now, I'll admit this, and I've said it visually, I've said it verbally, and I've admittedly said this at this present time in my life. I'm bored by cisgendered women sexually. So I'm not having fun. So I need something
Mm.
that's going to be flexuring, something that's going to be a little bit more, And me, I've been with trans women, and I found for me, it's enjoyable. I'm not
Okay.
bored. I'm not
On
bored.
different, it's more enjoyable on even on different levels other than just having sex.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, that does make sense. Now, have you dated post-op trans women before?
Yes, I have.
How have you found that relationship to be?
Um, Exciting. Like I said, I date trans women. I'm excited. When I date men, cisgender men or studs, it's excitement. It's just I think cisgendered women they just bore me.
Because they want
Sexually, it
everything to
bores
be.
me. Relationship, I'm bored. I'm really bored.
Mm. Mm. Oh wow, that's interesting. That is so interesting. Okay. Um, and okay, and now for everybody, it's gonna be my last question, but for everybody that who I feel with the same question as I know that for me per se, my goal was to get SRS bottom surgery. Now, I know that it's not the same on the other side of the fence because of the limitations and procedures that they're limited to have. So, would you say that top surgery equates to bottom surgery to on my side of the fence?
No,
Okay.
no, because and I will show because I'm like this on my shows. I will
Uh,
show we get cut.
I can show my scars too, but it'll probably be something else.
Right. We are cut. We have to lose. You gain what we lose. So we're more intense, I think, with you all because they can insert and put pieces in. And with us, they have to take out tissue. However large we are, we still have to take out tissue. And we have
Hmm.
to still move our nipples. So it's a lot more
Hmm.
intense. It's a more time consuming operation and healing process.
Mm.
So
Okay.
for me, for several of us, it takes us a good maybe 3 to 8 weeks until we can start raising our arms.
Wow.
We
Wow.
cannot
So that
raise our arms because if we raise our arms, we're pulling tissue that's already. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be careful in the first setting of our surgeries.
mm.
So it's a
So
lot
that
complicated. So even our
mm.
bottom surgery is complicated versus
Yeah.
your because here's the secret. People are not understanding this, but I think they're getting it. When we are born in our mother's wombs, we are a creation of our mother. as we evolved into the third sector, into the third month or whatever, we start evolving to whatever our chromosome levels or DNA is going into. Okay. And then from there, if you're evolving as male bodied, you become creation of the male body. What was there that your mother gave you in the beginning, we starts to evolve differently. It folds and it hides.
Okay.
It folds and hides is what I always say. So with that being said, what you all don't gain, we get it.
Right.
We got mama's points. So when they go in and give you what you desire, it's easier to make a hole than make a pole. You can't make a pole. Let's put it this way. When you dig, it's easy to dig in the dirt and just keep on going, right? But if you want to build a pole on copper concrete, what do you got to do? Chisel, do a whole bunch of crap, get to it, do what you got to do, and it may not be perfect.
Right. Damn.
So I'm gonna say this to the trans women listening. You all are lucky because what we go through to have what we desire is more than you believe and more costly. Our top surgery is more than yours. Our bottom surgery is more than yours. My top surgery was $85 with a sculpture. That's $8,500. So that was a great question. I enjoyed that. Thank you. We're gonna bring you back on if we can. We lost her for a second, but we're gonna bring her back on. Folks, remember you can share this. Come in, chime in, hit the invite button, and I tell you, come on through. Travis, come on through. Travis said that's not true, brother. It's different from everyone. Remember, I'm speaking on my experience, everyone. All of us are different in our journeys. So I'm speaking for everyone's different journeys. That's what I'm speaking of. Did we lose you? Let's try it again. We're going to try one more time.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we got you.
Okay.
We got you now.
Sorry about that. I was having a call.
Travis, you're right. Our surgeries isn't more this and that, but for some of the girls, their top surgeries. What can I ask you a personal question, Tamara? When you had George, did you have any top surgery at all?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and can I ask what your cost was for yours?
I'm in New York, so it was Medicaid. It was covered.
Right. See, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of our surgeries, we've had problems. Some of us have had problems unless you can get it somewhere where it's feasible for you. There's an organization in New York that can help you get those surgeries, and it won't cost you at all. But then there's some of us that are in the southern states or in the other states that we have to pay out of pocket. Our insurance companies in those states will not cover us. We don't have the insurance and the Medicaid that'll take care of us here in the states, in my state, because the way they actually, what was the word I was going to say? They legislatively ruled on certain things. So our Medicaid, for some of us, will not cover us. We have to pay out of pocket. So for me, mine was $8,500 out of pocket. My insurance company would not cover it, and the only amount that they were going to cover, I had to come up with a copay of $4,000.
Oh wow. Wow.
And it depends on the surgeon.
Thing, yeah.
And see, again, it depends on our surgeon because our surgeons have to be willing to take the insurances we have.
That's true.
So we have to, I think that's why we have a lot of us have a struggle, not all. I'm not generalizing all trans men, but a lot of trans men have, um, see, like Sean said, he lived in North Carolina. He had his done in Atlanta.
That's
Sean, I like to bring Sean on because if he wants to, because Sean did. I want to ask Sean a question. Sean, did you have
my girl.
to drive
That's
and
my
pay the
girl.
2,000 copay?
She's a trans
See,
girl, so she had implants.
oh,
That's what I'm talking
okay, she had implants. Okay, Sean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I did not
about.
know. So she had hers was 2,000. See, that's what I'm finding out is that some of us don't, Travis. Some of us don't have that access to Medicaid or Medicare, and so that's something that some of us don't aren't able to get. So I had to
That's
pay out of
true.
pocket.
That's
So it
true.
depends on the situation.
I mean, I guess my thing was not so much because, like, of course, when Medicaid was not paying for it, it wasn't so much as an option, but it was a goal. Um, so what I'm saying is, I knew that it was should females get implants all the time, so I knew that that was available. I knew that whole saying it's easier to dig a hole than build a pole, so I knew that that was an option, and
Right.
I knew that it was further along in my transition, but I've always wanted to reach there. Now that Medicaid has been so gracious to cover these things, it has come to fruition a little sooner than I've dreamt. Um,
Mhm.
but what I'm saying is now that let's say that you live in New York and bottom surgery was an option, would that equate um would that solidify your transition?
For me, I don't feel I need to have bottom surgery to be the man I am today. I'm
Okay.
comfortable being the man I am. For me, bottom surgery does not mean I'm a man. I am a man spiritually here. So for
Hmm.
me, I'm comfortable where I am in my life, in my journey. My top surgery has completed me at this point in my life. So I'm comfortable where I am with myself. Now, maybe 10 years down the line, when I'm 66, I might say, well, I'm going to die anyway, so just go ahead and have the surgery. Who cares? But at my point at 56 years old, I think I need people to understand about me because we're all different as individuals. For me,
Of course.
I accepted the body I have. And I accepted the journey I had to travel to be where I am because it made me a better person and it grew. I grew from it. I become empowered from it. So it allowed me to be who I am today. And I never neglected. I'll tell anybody I was sexy then and I'm handsome now. And I carried it straight on over. The only thing
Okay.
I got rid of was anything that was negative in my life, the negative actions I did. And that's so when I looked at myself, and I say this in my shows all the time, when I looked at myself, within my journey, I chose and made a decision to be the man I desired to be for me. Not you, no one else, not my mother, not my father. I desired to be. The image of the man I desired to be is what I became.
That's right. That's
And I
right.
say that to anyone who's in their transition, male or female, be the person you desire to be for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm here. Sorry
So,
for that.
so for me, I personally, right now in my life, I don't desire to have bottom surgery.
Okay.
Maybe 20 years ago when things were different and my credit was better, maybe so. But I mean, it costs money to do this. And for me, it took me 40 years. I mean, I didn't get my top surgery until 2 years ago. So you have to
Mm.
imagine how long of a struggle it was even for my top surgery and the dysphoria I was dealing with for that long.
Yeah.
So for me right now, I'm just glad to have this. Because my feeling is when I put a pair of sweatpants on, if I'm packing or not, nobody's really looking because half the time my shirt is
Mhm.
over my ass, so nobody sees anything. So
Mm.
what people see coming is this purse and this bald head and
Right.
my height.
That's
That's
one
the
of my
first
that's
thing
one of
they see.
my yeah, that's one of my things. I'm like, because testosterone does a lot more for your image than estrogen does for our image. Because we can't just take hormone estrogen and then a full C just pop up out of nowhere, or your ass and your hips just start just growing out of
Right.
nowhere. So we have to surgically do those things. Um, so that part I understand because for a trans man, that testosterone and that chest surgery that could definitely solidify the whole transition for you guys because that's the image that you go for, and when it comes down to sex, it can be compensated. Not saying that it's in a bad way, but it can be compensated because every pussy loves a toy. You know what I mean? So, so that's okay. Um, so that's perfect. So, but on this side of the fence, we have a little bit. We always going at each other's necks because um, it's a little more complicated when it comes to like socially transitioning because again, the estrogen doesn't do everything for a girl, and that opens up different other availabilities for other girls, passability and stuff like that. Then you gotta get the body done, and then you gotta get this done, and then that magical old, bottom surgery where everybody just goes toe to toe for, because that is what this trans woman says that solidifies the whole transition because that's what most of us
For
when we're
you, it's a solidified for you, for
for
you.
me, for me,
Right. And
for
just
me.
like I have brothers out there that have had the bottom surgery and it solidifies for them. And I'm happy for them because I will say this as a trans man who hasn't had bottom surgery, I feel I am no less of a man than my brother who has had top surgery. I mean, bottom surgery. My thing is, we are both men. We're part of a community that's unique and different. We are the next generation of evolution of mankind. That's how I feel about trans people. We are the next evolution of mankind and womankind too. So my whole thing is we are what's next. So,
Mhm.
it doesn't make me any less and I don't see him anymore. We are equivalent men. We are men. It's just like I see trans women as a trans man, I see trans women top or bottom surgery with or without. They are women. It doesn't make you any more or any less. However you feel, that's how you feel. However my brother may feel, that's how he feels. But I don't see anything different. I see a female, I see feminine energy with a man, I see trans man, I see masculine energy. So guess what? It is what it is. It is whatever works for you. Remember, I
Right.
said we're taught this. Whatever is for you is for you. May not be for the next person. So we can't judge. We can't say yes or no. We have to say that's for me and that's for you. Because honestly, if I sat up here and was bitter like some people are in our community about the fact that my brothers had top surgery before I did. I've had brothers who had top surgery years before I did. And if I was bitter and they were bitter, we would be a bitter group of guys. But you know what? We cheer each other on each time someone goes to have surgery because it's not easy to live without that surgery. And it's hard as hell to get through that surgery without support.
Now, let me ask you this question though. Would you say that a trans man can still be a trans man if he desires not to get top surgery?
This is how I feel.
Hmm.
If he says he's a trans man and he's within the binary as being trans male and he's taking that hormone shot every 2 weeks and
Hmm.
he's got that facial hair
But loves his breasts?
and he loves what he's got up here and that makes him feel masculine, and more power to him. Because I promise you, 10 years down the line, he's going to say, I think I'm ready for top surgery.
You're saying that
But that's me, Travis. Travis, this is my thought. It may not be your thought. Like I said, we don't all think the same. I feel if he identifies as a trans man, lives his life every day as a man, not a girl dressing up like a boy, like a stud would do. But if he is visibly acting as male, living as male, is on hormones as male every day, did the name change every day,
So
all
you,
that, but
so
hasn't
you,
had his top surgery because I
so you,
feel in time he will gain the idea that it's time to do it.
so you're also saying that there are certain levels before you can actually claim trans man. Okay.
Correct.
So,
Correct. Because it's like trans women. There's certain levels too. First, you're a boy, you're a little bit sissified, and then you become a little feminine, and then you become that trans woman, transvestite, or whatever, and you become that transgender, transsexual, either way you claim it, just like us. Some of us evolve. We pretty little girls. We tomboys. We look like a stud. We go through those whole stages that society thinks that's how we become who we are. It's a process. It's a
mhm,
process. And for some of us, the girls, I don't know what the girls are doing, but I know a lot of us have tried to skip over the therapy process because honestly, everybody needs it. I'm gonna tell you, I go every other when I can because
mhm,
we all need it every day for whatever. Not for just the
okay,
medicine, not just for the hormones and all the surgery. We need it because we're dealing with a lot as people. Our energy is so riled up. We need to release it. Not only exercise, eating, and all that, but we need mental health assistance as well. We need it.
mhm,
So my part of this is that we as trans men, okay, now I got to get back to the train of thought because I went over there. As
mhm,
trans men, we can evolve. It's a step because I didn't come out my mother's womb with a male body. It's a process of finding self, realizing who self is, to going to the next step. I've talked
right,
to many people who said many years ago, I'd say 15 years ago, who came to me and said, I'm going to transition, but I don't know if I should do that. I don't, wait a minute, are you a trans man? Or are you identifying as a masculine female? That's
right.
two different things.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Hear me out. So what I'm saying is there are some trans women who are just really feminine boys, but like to wear hair. You know what I mean? And say that they're women. And that's what we have issues with in our society, in our part of the community, is you have these feminine boys pretending to be trans women, pretending to be. So we have to almost defend trans women.
Well, we do
You
it
know what I mean?
too. We have studs who say I'm trans men, and we're looking at them going, where?
Where?
I see you identifying, but where? Because
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you, for some of us, we believe if you're on testosterone and going through therapy and going through the struggle as a trans person, okay, I see it.
right.
Because I believe that, that's where we had to go. We as a community, we had to learn to understand binary and non-binary. So those
Right.
boys wearing those wigs, saying they're women, they're living within that non-binary. Those girls who saying they're men, but they still doing whatever. And next week they got a dress on, and you're like, wait a minute, she just whoa. That's within that non-binary. But when you're
Mhm.
living within the binary, knowing what the medicine is going to do to your body, you are who I call my brother.
Right. So if we go by all these levels of standards and levels of rite of passage or whatever, should at this point, what is available? Let's say this. Let's say science has at today become a point of it has exceeded our expectations and it could give you a very well functioning penis. Would you do that?
Yeah, I do it. What's wrong with you?
Okay, so what I'm
Okay.
saying
If they said flex, your copay is $10. Run up, go get
is
your working penis. I'll be like, where? What time? It's like when I go to the dentist, bro. Get my teeth clean. Give me a shot. I mean, whatever. What? Yeah, I would. I would. But
sign me up,
you
right?
know what? But where I am right now in my life, I'm just gonna have to do the best I can do for who I can for me.
Exactly. And that I understand the availability and the opportunity. I understand that because I'm in New York, very fortunate. and a lot of other things play in my favor. Um, but what I'm saying is, for the girl in my situation who has the availability, who may even have the passability that I have, they choose not to get that surgery
But
because
you
it doesn't
know,
work for them.
but they might be comfortable where they're at in their life. Sometimes we have to be comfortable where we're at in our life to say this is where I need to be. For some people to still have the third leg is what I call it, may not be a dysphoria for them. It may
And
be
that's
their body is the dysphoria. For me, my downstairs is not my dysphoria. My dysphoria was my top half. Because if I
mm-hmm.
couldn't swim like I wanted to, I couldn't do the thing. I was so confined to what I can and could not do up here.
But you're also saying to me, though, that if the surgery was perfected, your dysphoria would automatically switch back on
I
to
don't
your
have it,
body.
but you didn't hear what I said. My dysphoria was my top half. My dysphoria is not my bottom half. But if you told me I could get a doily wanky today for $10 and go get it done and it works perfectly, I would sure enough go do it. But
Mm-hmm.
my dysphoria is my top half because
So why would you?
as a man, I can't go swimming with 36 double D's in the water. And I'm gonna give you a scenario because you weren't here at the last show. I went swimming years ago,
Mm,
25 years ago. Now you got to think how long time that was. I went swimming at a beach, had a t-shirt on, okay? So little tight like this, got wet. A child saw me and I had full beard and mustache. Came out of the water and the child said, "Mommy, what's that? What is he?
mm,
What is that?" And the mother said, "Baby, don't
mm.
look. That's nothing but the circus in town."
What?
That's my dysphoria.
Mm,
Do you understand that now? That's
yeah.
our dysphoria. Because being
Yeah.
the man I am, now I'm brought to attention that I'm the circus. You're calling me something I'm not.
But then, okay, and I acknowledge that story, but I'm gonna equate it to this side. It's easier to hide a tuck than tits. I get it, but that tuck come out, that person's still gonna be from the circus. So you
But
know what
here's
I
the
mean?
secret. Here's the secret. Even if the tuck come out, the girls are wearing panties. You're still containing it. You can't get in the water. If you had a white, you see what I'm saying? You're still holding something in. It ain't sticking out. Ding, 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 highlights. It ain't got no highlights coming out. Cold water, pling.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not doing that. When nipples get cold, what do?
Bing, yeah.
Right. When
Mhm.
when when girls are tucking, they can tuck and put panties on. I've seen them put two pair of panties on, and you don't even know. Okay, put a pair of stockings on, you wouldn't even know. But let us put on a shirt with no binder, we are actually exposing a part of us that is not. If they said, let me say this to you, if they said men can live, if men were born with breasts way back in the day of Adam and Eve, okay, and men had, let's say Adam was Eve and Eve was Adam, let's say that, okay, and Adam had
Mhm.
breasts and men had breasts from generation to generation, do you think we would be running to go get top surgery? No, because men have breast instances.
Right, and just like women have vaginas,
So
so
here's the thing. Right. So here's
that's
the
what I'm
thing. If we didn't have to have the top surgery
saying.
and men were born with 36 WDs, we would have the facial hair and keep it moving because nobody would see us any different than the guy next door, the cisgender straight man.
Now, let me say this though. I've seen cisgender men, of course, on the heftier side, have breasts. You know what I mean? So, I mean, of course, with that life, yeah, they have, they have titties because they're fat or whatever, and that makes sense. You're talking about a fit male, a
Right.
male in a good
I'm talking
physical
about a
shape.
fit male. You're right,
Right.
Trenton. Some men do have breasts, but a fit male.
A fit
And
male
you have
doesn't
to
have
remember
good
that we're dealing with society norms as well. Let's look at you and I. We are of dark tone. We come from a black community. Let's put it out there. People of
right.
color are judgmental, okay? And I got into judgmental, and I was like, Lord Jesus, no, I'm a part of the circus. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to deal with a lot. So being in a community, raised, it's different. It's so different. I
Right.
moved to the South, and it was so much different.
Mm, mm,
So here's my thing is that if society said all men can have 44 WDs, and there's some people got 40 women that got 46 triple D X's and whatever, and they could walk around
mm,
these presences, I mean big presences, it wouldn't be
mm-hmm.
a problem.
Well,
Right,
I
Jules,
mean,
gotta master you.
yeah.
But what if it wasn't gotta master you? What if we just had big breasts as men naturally, like Jules? What if you had breasts that was 44XX? That's a
Right.
big breast, and men could
That is a
walk
big one.
around like that. But we can't.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do what we have to do. I'll say to this: I'm content with what I got. I'm loving it. I'm in the pool. I'm a black guppy, and I'm doing my thing.
That's right. That's true.
And you
And yeah,
living your life as the woman you are, you do your thing. I applaud you, I appreciate you, and I thank you for coming on. Your
thank
questions have
you.
been great, awesome. Always come
Awesome.
back. Always come back.
Of course I will. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. We'll see you later,
Thank
Tamara.
thank you. Bye bye.
Here watching Miss Tamara. I used to feel a little offended for some of the girls when she be talking, but after talking to her personally, I realize it's just her way of thinking. It's never in any kind of and not animosity. It's not. She's not doing it to be mean. She just literally
She's
just trying to
learning.
understand.
She's learning. She's learning to
Yeah.
accept difference. And when you learn to accept difference, that's what you do. You come in and you ask questions. And I applaud her for coming in and asking questions because that's the only way she's going to learn. A lot of the trans women are not aware of what we go through as trans men. They don't have the opportunity to ask those questions because a lot of times some of our brothers, and I mean Caucasian and brothers, some of our trans brothers just don't want to have those discussions. So sometimes it's some of us that are willing to have those discussions and sit with them and let them learn. That's the only way they're going to learn. Nobody told them in the beginning how it would be for trans men. We just learned about the trans women because they were more visible. We've been around some of them in drag family houses or ballroom houses or even just in the LGBT community. That's just exactly what we've been dealing with.
Yeah, and it's good to see people getting understanding. Facebook got a lot of foolishness on it, but I like when it actually is used. Well, some people say it's not the way it was intended. Actually, they say the way Facebook is used is exactly how it's intended, but I ain't gonna get into that. But it's
Right.
good to see it actually, help people reach out and understand their paradigm, So, and if you're still watching Tamara, hey, my crush, that's my crush right there.
Yeah. So that's what we're here for. We're here for you all to learn, ask questions, ask the brothers questions, ask me questions. Now remember, my experiences are my experiences. They're my take, my experiences, so that I can only speak about me. But there are other people that may have something a little bit different or want to share something that's a little different for you to understand as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, I even looked at the scenario that was played out um, in this particular matter with going to the beach or whatever, and I'm reminded of a friend of mine. She's actually a trans woman who's pre-op, but is planning on getting SRS. But uh, the thing about her is she's the type person that does like to be athletic. She likes surfing actually. So um, for her to get SRS, it would allow her the opportunity to have a more anxiety-free surfing experience when it comes to the wardrobe malfunctions,
Mm-hmm.
because you know how rough surfing could get. No matter how tucked you are, you know things could still pop out, even with the panties and the layers and
Right,
all the
right,
different
right.
things. So for her, I understand the anxiety that could cause her, and wanting to be able to do that, you know. But you know, for a lot of girls, they're not really as active, and you know, the whole tucking experience just isn't enough of an inconvenience to say, you know, I'm ready to get rid of it, you know, and I understand that. And you know, like, you know, if you look at a you look at like a computer generated graphic of what an SRS surgery looks like for a MTF trans woman, you know, it looks pretty simple. Oh yeah, they take this, they slice that, they do. But then when you look at the actual, you know,
Footage.
surgical
Yeah.
footage, it's like, man, that's a lot. You know,
But you
just
know, there's a lot for the trans women, but can you imagine what we go through as trans men?
oh yeah, it's like I don't even know. I haven't even looked at one of
Some
those.
of us, some of us go. Sometimes it's a three-step. There's two different surgeries, but each one could go into
Yeah.
three differently. Yeah, it's either we enlarge the clitoris, which doesn't look like this, or we end up having the penile surgery, which is a little bit more complicated, and it's probably you could be in the hospital 3, 4 times and stay for 3, 4 days or weeks, and sometimes you might have complications. Sometimes something might and so it's very complicated. And I know someone who had penile surgery that actually ended up getting an infection from the penile surgery because what happened was his urinal, his water tract, I call it his piss tract, busted and went into his bloodline. So he ended up getting an infection.
Yeah, and I mean it's that's the
That's
thing, you know,
complicated.
with
Yeah.
you know, anytime you rearranging the plumbing down there, it's a major risk for complications. So, you know, as a cisgendered male who is attracted to women of the trans experience, I took it upon myself to decide to never like pressure anyone into that. You know, even though
But
I
but you know what, Jules? It's not your, and I'm not trying to be mean to anyone that's watching this that is attracted to trans men or trans women. It's not your place to even say nothing to us. It's your place to accept who we are as individuals. No pressure. I heard you say pressure because I'll be honest with you, pressure is traumatic.
yeah,
It's
I agree.
traumatic
That
and it's
I
toxic.
absolutely agree with
And
you,
it's
and
toxic.
and
So when somebody is dating or attracted to trans individuals, male or female, trans men or women, we have to understand that you're attracted to that individual. Like my mother used to say, if you buy that candy, that's what you got. When you date
you're right.
somebody, even if it was a cisgendered woman or a cisgendered man, that's what you got. You have the choice to step away or stay. And if you stay, then you must accept what you chose to do and those consequences that come from your choice.
And I 100% agree with you. That's why, you know, like I say, I step back and I say it's not in my place. But there, you know, I'm sure there have been scenarios where a man who might have found himself, you know, in some type of romantic thing with a trans woman say, well, when are you going to get the surgery? I'm sure it has happened, you know, but I don't want to be that man because, like you say, I feel absolutely what you say. It's just my place to support you and, you know, and love you, or, you know, accept you for what you already have until you're ready to get rid of it. And then after that, if that's the point, if you do get to the point, it's my job. If I'm someone who says that they love you and support you, to be down with that as well, you know. So, and there's guys who are on the opposite side of that where, you know, they're like, you know, they're basically anti SRS altogether. It's like, you
But
know, basically,
that's that narrative of female, that trans woman narrative, and I know where you're coming from with that. But here, this, and I'm not trying to be an ass, but this is trans man space, so I
right, right.
understand where you're coming from with the girl side of it. But let me ask you a personal question: would you ever interact with a trans man?
I mean, on a personal level,
On a
or
relationship
romantic.
level.
No, no,
And answer this question. Why?
because y'all not what I'm attracted to.
What are you attracted to?
I'm attracted to women.
You're attracted to feminine energy, right? Okay. The reason I said that because you being a cisgender man, some people might say, well, if that's what you could deal with a trans man because he's female body with no bottom surgery. But you're attracted to feminine energy. You're not attracted to masculine energy. That's what I wanted to get to the point on that. Because there's some people watching this that may not understand that.
Right, yeah, and I'm not gonna spend too much time. I'm
Right.
just chiming in really. I didn't really have any questions. I was just really being I just was following, my girl in this trans man space, you right. That bottom surgery, I'm gonna have to go look that up on YouTube for the trans
Do
men
that.
because
Do
I'm
that.
sure they
You
got
will
some
find
that is
out.
something
And
intriguing. I pretty much grasp the concept of how it is on the girl side because obviously that's where my fascination lies, but for the trans men, it definitely is. But like I say, one way or the other, anytime you're rearranging your urinary tract and your sexual organs,
vessels and blood and all
there's
that. It's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot to read. I
and I
mean,
mean,
anything reconstructive is a lot of work. It's a lot of work because my top surgery, it was a bit of reconstructive as well as top surgery. So it was a lot. I was under for a good 4 hours, and normally it's about a good. Some doctors can do it in 2 and 3. I was under for 4 because he did reconstructive and he did the top surgery at the same token.
right, well, you have to not only it's not just like with some people, like say for instance, for women who have cancer and have to have a double mastectomy, where you just basically just have to cut out the cancer. But for you, it's more like you want it to be aesthetically pleasing. You want it to mimic that of a male, you know, feminine pectoral shape. There's a certain pectoral shape that men have, and you want to still it has to be shapely in the sense, even if it's just, even though you're just subtracting, breast tissue, there's a sculpting also of the tissue that is there,
Right. And
you
for
know.
some brothers, they don't need that. So some of them get a keyhole process. Some of them get the T process. I had to have the T, but here was the secret. And I say this to a lot of trans men that are starting their journeys, haven't had top surgery. Go to the gym and do pec exercises. Because once I had my surgery, my doctor had a muscle to make that pec that need to be made. That's why my chest looks the way it does. He made that pec.
Right,
I had pecs, so he worked
right.
with the pecs I had to give me the muscle bound that I need.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Now there's like two types of surgeries. You
There's
said
two
there's
types of surgeries. There's a pinhole surgery if you don't have a lot of tissue, and then there's that T section, and there's another one too that they're doing, but I don't really know too much about that. But the one that I had was the T section, and and that's how that was. And my healing process was really good. I finally got to the point where I'm not as tender on my top half because my top half was really tender up for about 6 months ago, and now it's not as tender as it was. Because they got to go in and take all that tissue out and all that. That's trauma to the body. The body's
there's
like,
a lot of trauma.
yeah, it's a lot of trauma,
There's gotta
and you're taking out fat. It's like taking out. I hate to say it is, but when you're taking off skin and taking tissue, they're also taking away some of that fatty tissue off of the skin they need to use to sew back in. So it's amazing. It's just
right.
amazing.
And then
But I'm
minimal
happy.
scarring. That's another thing, like, or placing the scar in a way to where it
Right,
kind of complements the shape of your chest.
right,
Because I've
right.
seen I've seen that done on, like, I used to watch a lot of Discovery Health Channel. I don't know why they got rid of that. Does that channel still exist? It was a good
That
channel
I
they
don't
had.
know, Jules. I couldn't even tell you. I
Yeah,
couldn't
well,
even tell you.
I used to watch it a lot, and they had a lot of different surgeries and stuff, like before and after, plastic surgery before and after stuff.
Right.
So. Yeah, but you know, I'm glad you're happy with your top surgery. And for me, I think it's kind of like just I guess from an outsider's perspective, I believe just it's just my opinion that top surgery for trans women is to well, top surgery for trans men is to what bottom surgery is for trans women. That's just from an outsider perspective. I feel like a lot of trans men will probably feel more complete and even, you know, be perceived as more complete having top surgery as opposed to like you don't really hear a lot of trans men say, "Oh yeah, I'm a trans man, but, you know, I'm fine having breasts," you know. So I get that perspective, but, you know, um, I could also understand how you can feel complete having top surgery because it's one of those things that kind of affirms your public perspective. Like you can go out to the beach with no shirt on and no
Right,
one bats an eye,
right,
you know.
right. Because
And
it
I
was
feel
hard.
like
It was. I mean, when I had my top surgery, and I was able to hit that water, I was in the swimming pool like it was the last vacation. I was in everybody's swimming pool. I was going to the beach. When we get to a hotel, I had swim trunks, and even if it was hot out, cold outside, if the pool was outside, it was heated. I was jumping in the pool. I did not care, but as long as it was water, I was getting in it. I was getting in it.
right.
So,
I
all
don't blame you.
right, Jules, I appreciate you. Thank you. We got other people waiting in the wings.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me get up off here. All right, Miss what's her name? I forgot. I'm not being
Tamara,
disrespectful.
Tamara was there.
Not Tamara, the other lady. She wanted to come on. Kimberly.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we've
come
got
on.
several. We got several sitting in the wings right now.
Yeah, let me get up off here. My AC running, and I'll
Okay.
holler at you. I'll be
All
in.
right. Community conversation. Hello, Miss Kimberly. How are you doing?
I'm okay. A little tired. My throat feels like I got a cactus in it,
Okay.
and it sounds like I have a cactus in it too.
Okay.
um, I just I don't know much about trans men. Like the only like trans man that I really have any real dealings with is you. Not to belittle our relationship or whatever. It's just that like usually when you and I talk, it's not focused on like something as specific as your transition or that of men of transgender of trans experience. And so I have a few questions. One of my questions is when okay, like when I was younger, like I never ever identified as male, so I don't feel comfortable talking about myself in the past tense by saying when I was a little boy. I always say
Hmm.
when I was a little girl. And you and I have had that conversation. Um, but for trans men, like for you, okay, like for you, like when you talk about yourself in the past tense, do you refer to yourself as a little girl when you were younger or a little boy from when you were younger? Because
Um,
for me personally, I just
when I
don't feel
was
comfortable.
younger, and if I do refer, I never say it. For some reason, I've never said it. But when I was younger, I will say I was a boy in my mother's womb
Okay,
because because I evolved to be the man I am today. I had to be a boy before I became a man.
that's true.
I'm just gonna say that. But I was female bodied. I was a boy that was female bodied. I was intersex as well.
Hmm.
But it took time for me to find who I was,
Right.
the spirit. Because like I said, I was I was born with female body with the spirit of a man.
Okay.
That's how I evolved. That's how I saw myself. To this day, I evolved to be the man I am. I was that butterfly metamorphosis. I went through the cocoon and all that, and boom, 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 here I
Right.
am.
And as we all
So
know, you cannot change your energy to match
no,
your body. You
you
cannot
cannot.
change
No, you can't.
the way your brain
You
is,
can't.
the way your neural pathways are laid out. And please forgive me, everybody. I'm not wearing any makeup, and my voice sounds atrocious. Um, I do apologize for that. But like I've tried many times to explain to my mom and to explain to other people, it's not the choice that people think it is. People think that this is all a choice and everything like that. and that we just wake up one day and say, "Hey, guess what? I'm a boy," and that's not how it works or whatever. At least that's not how it worked for me as a trans woman. Um, Also, I know that like I watched Top Surgery for trans men before, and it's basically not to belittle the experience or the struggle, but it's basically a double mastectomy with the nipples saved. Is that correct? And the muscle tissue, the pectoral muscles
It's like
are
a, it's
saved,
like yeah,
correct?
it's like well, they call it a mastectomy,
Okay.
but that's what it is. They remove of tissue, remove of skin flap if need be, and depending how large we are, we have to have skin removed.
Okay.
If you're small, they just take out the tissue,
Okay.
because by the time you take out the tissue, but we still have to be checked for have mammograms,
Okay.
because we still have to check for mammograms. Men do too. Men do too, but it's not as often.
See,
It's
I
not as
thought
often.
that. See, I was seeing. I'm glad that you said that because I was under the misguided misconception that as a trans man, that was something that you would no longer have to go through after top surgery. Because I know that my doctor said that she wants me to start going to the women's clinic and having mammograms because I'm at the age. I'm 47 now, and I'm at the age where mammograms, a yearly mammogram would be advised for a cisgender woman in my age group. Even though even after SRS, I wouldn't have to go to any gynecological um,
Right.
appointments. I always thought that once trans men had their top surgery, they wouldn't have to go to mammogram appointments again. And you're saying that
Yeah, we
that's
do,
okay.
because there's so much tissue. There's so much tissue that they can take out, and there could be a possibility. You have to understand that our hormone shots,
Hmm.
our testosterone can cause damage to us as well. It can cause cancer, baldness. It can cause
Uh-huh.
high blood pressure, diabetes, clotting, cholesterol. If someone has thyroid problems, like the young man that was on last week, it can cause even complications with that. We also still have to be checked with our pap smears. Even if you have not had a hysterectomy, we still have to be checked for pap smears.
Now
We
that part
still
I
have to.
knew because um, I was a big fan of Buck Angel. I used to follow Buck Angel quite a bit um, because he was the only trans man I knew um, in any niche of show business, and
Right.
so they were doing a documentary on his transition, and he's married to a cisgender woman, and
Hmm.
they talked about how he had to go to his gynecological appointments, and I thought, why would he need to go to a gynecologist? Because I didn't know like anything
Right.
about um, trans men and things like that. So when they explained that he still had his vagina, and so he still had to have those same checkups, I thought, okay, well, I guess that would make sense. But
Right.
I know that like with us with trans women, the what most of us like to call damage from testosterone has already run its course. It's already been done. It's not reversible. So like my voice, again, I apologize. It's not usually like this. Um, it takes practice to
Yes,
attain
voice
that
practice.
voice most
With
of the
us,
time.
and with us, we go through what we call puberty,
Hmm.
because now our bodies, when little boys evolve, they're still carrying some estrogen in their body.
Right.
And when they begin to mature, their testosterone level starts to peak. And
Hmm.
that's when their voices start to change. So
Right.
when we take our testosterone, what happens is it's downsizing, it's overpowering the estrogen levels,
Hmm.
which means our levels go down and our T comes up. So
Hmm.
now we begin to have those deep voices. Some of us lose our vocal cords because we can't even sing like we used to do. We sound like we got broken voices. So
Right.
that's what happens as we evolve. With trans women, the only thing you can do is work on your
Hmm.
vocals.
Now I remember when I first hit puberty. I was in the seventh or eighth grade, and my voice it just bottomed out. I was a baritone from baritone land, and I hated talking because it became such a deep heaviness. You know, I felt it in my chest every time I spoke. Um, but with the estrogen, we go through a second puberty as well. We develop breasts, and given if we're on the proper doses, we develop breasts, and our skin softens, and most of our body hair becomes
Right.
lighter
Your
and
body
softer.
kind of gets, yeah, your
Right,
body does the reverse of what the testosterone
right.
does, and our body does the reverse of what the estrogen
Hmm.
does. Because what we do, we end up building the muscle. Our skin gets a little rough, but I'm very metrosexual, so I still lotion myself down because I want to be
Right,
touched and all that other good stuff.
right.
And we change. The facial hair grows in differently.
Hmm.
We get facial hair all over our body. Some of us are very hairy.
Hmm.
I'm just now getting chest hair on my chest. Um, I got a little bit on my back, but it's not a lot. It's just like real fuzz hair. Um, so it depends on the gentleman. It depends on your genetics. It depends
Right.
on all of those things. And I think it depends that way for the women as well. Because I will
Hmm.
say this: a lot of young trans women today, they are now starting their their estrogen journeys
Much
at a
younger.
younger age.
Hmm.
So with them starting at a younger age, they're getting blockers that
Block
automatically
puberty.
begin to block the testosterone.
Hmm.
So now their vocal cords are turning into female vocal cords.
Hmm.
So when you look at young girls, because you and I are around the same age, around that time era, when you're
Hmm.
looking at trans women between the age of 18 to 25, now with a lot of them automatically are girls. I mean, there's nothing
Well, I
I've met
mean,
so many.
I've seen some before, and I'm looking at them. I'm just like, who are they talking about as trans? No, no. You know, because they started at a much younger age, like Jazz Jennings. If I didn't already know who she was, you couldn't tell me that I was a trans woman.
Right,
You couldn't
right,
convince me of that, you know. But like me, I started way late. I didn't even come out as trans until roughly a year and a half ago. So when I was 46. And now being 47, I've been on my hormones for about roughly a year and a half. And
right,
I've noticed, you know, like I tell people I was blessed to have a naturally hairless body because my genetic makeup is largely Native American, and so
right.
we don't
So,
have very much body hair.
right,
But like
right.
with trans
See,
men, y'all could like start off hairless and then end up hairy, correct?
correct, correct. Because there's some of us, but I know some people. I'll give you a prime example. There are some that are already transitioning at the age
Hmm.
of 22, and by the time they reach 30, they've got all this hair all over their body. And sometimes I look at them and go, "Well, how come I didn't get that hair?" But deep down inside, I'm glad I didn't because I kind of like being a smooth kind of guy.
Hmm.
I like
Yeah,
being a little smooth. So I'm kind of enjoying my smoothness right now.
right,
And at my age, I want to be touched. I'm old. I got to be petted like an
right. And
old
see,
puppy dog.
and I
You
relate to
know,
that
so,
because I'm way closer to 50 than 40. You know, and
right,
well, I never really noticed how soft my skin had gotten until my little sister a few months back. She was, I don't remember what she was doing, but she was touching my shoulder for some reason or whatever. And she commented on how smooth and soft my skin was. And I remembered it didn't used to be that way because I've done some hard labor jobs. I worked on the railroad for a little while, on the railhead for with the
yeah.
military,
So, so,
posting
so
and stuff
here's
like
my,
that, construction. So
right,
I was
right.
prepared for that.
So, right. And so with me, I noticed that my sensation, when I touch something soft, it's a different feel for
Hmm.
me. I noticed when I started my testosterone, when I touched something soft, the something fluffy was just like, oh my God, I was like mesmerized.
Right.
Where when my level was higher as estrogen level, it wasn't a mesmerization. But then after I start,
Hmm.
go in the store, I just start touching. It's
It's
a
like,
feel.
and your senses change.
Yes,
Like I
yes.
noticed
Your
that my
symptoms
sense of
change a lot.
smell and hearing got better. My vision didn't
And
get any
ours
better, but
gets
everything else,
worse.
huh?
And ours gets worse. Our eyesight
Mhm.
slowly decreases, our hairline decreases. Some of, not everyone, but some do.
Mhm.
Some have hearing problems, allergies. I noticed when I started transitioning, I didn't have snoring. I didn't
Right.
have sleep apnea. All of a sudden, I snore. You can hear me 3 miles away. I didn't have that problem.
Now,
So now I'm dealing with all the things that my father did because
right.
I look like my dad without hair.
See,
So when
and you
people
know,
see, yeah,
I've been told that I look more like my mom now, which I always kind of
right,
favored her. But now even I see the resemblance when I wear my makeup a certain way or I smile a certain way
right,
or whatever. I notice it
right.
now. And I also noticed
It
that
pulls out
like
the genetics. It pulls out the genetics because when
right,
you look at a picture of myself and my sibling and my picture of my father, I can say to everyone, "Who do I look like?" And they say, "You look just like your dad
right.
without hair. You look like your dad with a baseball cap." So
Mm-hmm.
that's what a lot of us have found out that as we transition as men, we begin to evolve looking more like a grandfather or
Mm-hmm.
uncle or a parent or fathers. And it's amazing to see how we evolve. A lot of us on testosterone, we've gained our youth back. I don't know if it's the T, I don't know what it
It's the
is, but
testosterone.
it's
I can tell you
testosterone,
it's the
yeah.
testosterone
So
because
I've gained my,
before
because
my
for me to look
transition,
56, for
mhm,
me to look 56, I've been told more than once, I look between 32 and 40. So if that's
I
all,
would
I'll
never
take
have
that.
put you at 56 if I hadn't heard you say it out of your own mouth. But one thing I've noticed when since since I started taking the T blockers, okay, I don't have the energy that I had before.
Of course not, because
Definitely don't have
testosterone
the strength that
is
I had
right.
before.
Right. Testosterone is the opposite of estrogen.
Hmm.
When I was female body, I'm gonna just tell you like it is. It was like, okay, whatever. But testosterone is like an energy booster. It really
It
is.
is. It no. It
And
no. It truly is.
and, and, and it's a metabolizer. So a lot of times as trans men, we have to realize your heart rate's gonna go up.
Hmm.
So we have to do things to supplement that, to work with that heart rate, keep that blood circulating through the body so it's clear. The cholesterol levels got to be down. There's a lot of ways of eating. There's a lot of supplements. I'm not talking about vitamins. I'm talking about herbal supplements that help the body get through all this. I've been doing it for so long. I think that's part of the reason I look younger because I take care of my body being the trans man I am.
Testosterone is, and you know what? Like I've heard people say, people have told me that because I transitioned so late in life, I had male privilege, and I guess I did. But when we decided especially at such an advanced age, to transition to from male to female, we give up. We give up a lot, and by way of male privilege and the strength and things like that, because I'm nowhere near. I mean, as far as women go, I'm really strong as far as women go. But as far as men go, I'm probably about average now because you have to remember I started working out when I was 13. So
Right.
I got used.
Your muscle density is lessened. Just like me being when I was 100 pounds and started my transition, my doctor said you are now 190 pounds. I was like, what the hell? He
Right.
said, because you are nothing but muscle. You
Mhm.
are a walking orangutan. Please do not get mad. Don't throw nothing at anybody. You're going to jail.
Because
He
once
said, you're going to hurt somebody.
because until you get used to taking the tea, you will have these flare ups, and young boys,
Not
boys.
everybody. Wait a minute. Now, let me correct you. Now
Well,
I'm gonna let me
I was about to correct
yeah,
myself
right.
because not all trans men will have these these rage flare ups.
But see, let me address that. Let me address that.
Mm.
I hear people always saying that we become agitated. We become uh, what's the word? We become aggressive. A lot of that is not all the testosterone. It's your personality that you're
Well, I
within
wasn't
your
about to say
transition.
that. I wasn't about to say that. I wasn't about to say it. Was well, I was about to correct myself and say that until you get used to taking the tea, a lot of trans men might have those flare ups because when cisgender boys when they hit puberty, like I know like myself, I had a huge anger problem. I would get angry at the drop of a hat, where before I didn't have that problem. I used to go out into the garage and periodically I get ticked off about something. And I would literally, until I learned to control it, I would literally put holes in my dad's garage,
Okay,
his
so
wall.
let me say this.
But
That's
now
your experience.
that doesn't happen
Right, but
anymore.
that's your experience.
Uh-huh.
But not every, then I'm gonna say this, not every man is like that. It's everyone's
Right, yeah.
experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
so,
Not everybody is
and
like
I
that.
want people to, but see what I'm saying, Kimberly, is I want people to understand that.
Mm.
They hear you, but I'm trying to let them understand that that's not every
Right,
cisgendered man's experience, not every trans man experience.
right,
A lot of it depends on the individual. A lot of times it depends on what how you handle things.
right.
There
I
are
understand
trans
all
men.
that.
I
And
want to
that's
get
why I
back
was
to that.
right. I understand all that.
Right.
And that's why I was correcting myself. But what I'm saying is that it happens often enough to where it's actually seen as a side effect, because it happens in enough people, enough men with testosterone, that they say, okay, this is something, I'm not saying 100% for certain it's gonna happen, but don't be surprised if it does happen. Things like
Okay.
that. So, but
So,
once I
so,
started my
so,
transition, my my
right.
my temper flare ups are nowhere near where they used to. I still get angry. Everyone does, but I'm saying, like, that testosterone, it does things to certain people. It really does.
It does, but let me say this. There are trans women
Hmm.
that have been just soft spoken before they transition, but because of the estrogen is a mood changer, oh,
Right.
they flare up. So it can't always be, see, estrogen doesn't, every woman never, see, I never flared up when I had estrogen as strong in my body. So now that I think a lot has to deal with the personality, because I never
Right.
was a flare up. So, I mean, it depends on each individual. And
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
what
by
I'm.
life experiences.
Yeah, that's
And I want people to understand that. Because just like Trenton said, he never had that problem. Trenton is real smooth like me. He's real cool
that's
like that. So
that's
we
what I
never
was.
had that problem. Yeah.
That's what I've been trying to get to. That's what I was been trying to say, that I've been trying to say that. I'm not saying that everybody has that problem.
Oops, sorry, y'all.
You know,
Okay.
I'm not saying that every trans male will have that problem. I'm not saying that every cisgender male had that problem. I'm just saying that when I hit puberty, my doctor told my mom that that was something that she should look out for. Okay, I'm just saying that it's something that even though I might not say it's 100% going to happen, I would tell people, don't be surprised if it does, because it does
Okay,
happen
so
often
let me
enough.
talk on a trans man
And
experience.
right,
Let me speak on a trans man experience, because that's your experience. Let me talk on a trans man experience, because a lot of times people say this. Okay, a lot of times say, well, trans men, a lot of them are aggravated. A lot of it is self frustration. A lot of it is not the testosterone; it's the
I
personality of that
hadn't heard
individual.
that. I hadn't heard that about trans men, and that's not what I'm
That's what
saying.
we
And that's
hear.
and that's not what I'm saying now.
That's what they tell us.
Okay, I
That's
get
what
that.
they've been telling.
Get that.
So when you get a trans man that's acting out, a lot of it is a personality issue. It's a person. He needs to go see his therapist, because
Okay,
he's probably going to go start seeing therapists.
brother
He's
Flex,
dealing with other
brother Flex. I
things.
feel like you're defending an argument that I haven't made. I'm not saying
No, no, no.
that.
I'm making it. No, nobody's arguing with you. I'm making a point to the listeners so they don't misunderstand what we're talking about.
Okay.
Because see, there's a lot of people that actually say, well, trans men, when they start their testosterone, they they end up being aggravated and frustrated and angry, but a lot of it is personality issue. And a lot of trans men are not in their journey with therapy to help them get through life experiences. Because as we transition to be men, we deal with a lot more, we deal with pressures of society on what it puts us through as men, what they require of us as men, the image of man that society has. So we deal with family like the trans women do. We deal with a lot of losing
Hmm.
friends. And, I've lost more friends than I've ever lost in this life. More friends. For
Hmm.
some reason, trans women still have some of their friends. We lose our friends. We lose our exes. When we're in relationships,
Hmm.
our exes disappear. And then they talk about us like dirt, like regular dudes, cisgendered men,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where we are disrespected as men. And
Mm-hmm.
then we get it where women who we are in relationships with, okay, will turn around and degrade us and say, well, he's just really a girl anyway. That's why he acts the way he does.
And you know something, Flex? Everything that you just mentioned is stuff that trans women go through before they
That's
transition.
right. That's
So
right. But
we
that's
go, so
something
we
that
went
people
through
don't
the
realize we go through.
because here's the thing, and this is not a pissing contest. You know I respect you, I
No.
love you. As a trans man, a lot of people can say, well, like you just said, he's a girl anyway, which is fucked up to say, but they say it. But when you are a genetic male, they don't care how you identify. They want you to be strong. They want you to be tough. They want you to be the provider. They want you to never be scared or afraid of anything. They want you to know how to build any damn thing or fix any damn thing. And this, and according to society, the pressure to provide for the family is always on you. Even after we transition, even after I started my transition, guess whose job it was to take out the trash? Guess whose job it was to mow the yard, to clear the weeds, to clear the bushes and the brush? Anytime one of those branches from one of the 16 raggedy ass trees in my backyard in Texas fell, guess whose job it was to go move that branch, no matter how much it weighed? It was still on me, because even though I identify as female, I live my life 100% as female, even at that time. Society says you have XY chromosomes. That's your job. And you and
Well,
I
see,
both know that
right,
chromosome
right.
bullshit is just bullshit. But that's how society sees us. And so they say to us,
So,
that's still
Kim, we
your
got other
job.
people waiting. We got other people waiting. Hang on, but let me get to the last point of this. You say that because the same thing was my mother. My mother, I would say, well, and I'm mechanically, I got all the tools.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on cars for a living. Okay, years ago, I worked on cars for a living. And one day, her washing machine broke down, and I said, look, I could fix it for you. No, I'm gonna get the man to do it. I said, Mom, I just can go to Sears and get the part. No, no, I don't want you touching my machine. Plus, you don't need to be tinkering stuff like that.
Because she thought you
So
didn't know
my
what you were
thing
doing.
was, so wait a minute, you ready? My
Mm-hmm.
brother mows her grass. You know what I said to her? Well, he's going out of town for a month, so I can do your grass. No, no, I'll get somebody to do it. You don't need to be touching. That's not your job. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
So you have to understand society's norms have been placed on us, and we have to be so conditioned to go with it. We have to walk away from that. But Kim,
Mm-hmm.
I thank you for coming on. Other people waiting in the wings. You brought some good points out. We weren't fighting people. We weren't fighting. We're just bringing the points out. That's all we were doing. I love you, Miss Kim.
I love you too, Brother Flex. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, ma'am. So
I'm just like, well, I had the surgery and I told you what's been going on with work.
yeah.
And I actually confided with a lawyer. And he said that I could actually fight for unlawful termination and, what was it? Discrimination. Sorry. I'm not here today. Like, I've been dealing with other stuff with my mom and everything. But,
Yeah.
I did speak with someone about it. And because I spoke with one of the case managers, because they run you around with this whole bull crap. But I have decided what I'm going to do is I'm taking a stand for trans guys in Georgia because it happens a lot here, and I'm finding that out now. A lot of trans guys in Georgia, we're basically invisible in Georgia. We
They're
don't.
invisible everywhere.
Yeah, well,
Everywhere.
I
we're
know it's
invisible.
everywhere. I know it's everywhere. But the lawyer I talked to is an activist for rights for everybody.
Okay.
And when I spoke to the person about it, they said that I have a full case that can happen. So, when I spoke with them about it, they said that I need to open up about it and tell them what I've experienced at the workplace, what I'm experiencing. I told you, the guy said that I had a disease because I have gender dysmorphia. So now they're asking for proof of therapy letters, proof of primary care, and all this crap. All this crap. So I'm going forward with it. I'm taking a stand for every trans brother that I have that this kind of shit is not okay for
That's what
anyone.
I'm saying. Thank you.
So
Do it up. Do it up.
I might need y'all's back on this because I know y'all know what it's like. Because I mean, I know y'all don't know my personal situation that I've been dealing with at work, but I've been telling you about it. Like I've been telling
Right.
you what's going on.
Right. Right. So
But
if there's anybody in Atlanta, you're in Georgia, right?
yeah,
Anybody in Georgia that has dealt with discrimination on any level, pick up the phone, call me, contact Landon as well. If you're watching this live, we will get you in touch with them so you can make a civil case, and it can be larger than ever. And we can start making moving and shaking moves. We're gonna call it the Landon 101. What do they call it in the law stuff? The Landon law, or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But we are just actually going to work on changing some things. So that's what you got to do, Landon. Sometimes you got to put your foot down, put your foot down, twist it around, and stick it up their butt. That's what you got to do sometimes. So I applaud you. Do it, man. Do it.
I'm not taking this shit. Like I'm sorry, but I'm no different from anyone else. So I don't deserve this, and I'm not gonna take it.
Right.
And I spoke with my doctor, you know, and I asked them because they kept running me around saying they weren't receiving the paperwork and all this crap.
Right.
Which was bullshit, straight bullshit, because they were getting it. They were getting my paperwork.
Right.
They were just running me around. And then I finally spoke to a respectable woman, and she was like, what's the issue that's going on? I said, I've been out for a month. I have not been paid. You know, I'm over here, you know, not getting paid, not having what I need to get through life. And she was like, honestly, Landon, they're gonna try and say that, it was a selective surgery, that it wasn't necessary. But what they don't understand is, for trans men all around the world, top surgery is necessary for us to make us feel more comfortable in our skin and to make us happy
and functional and comfortable.
We don't want to walk around with breasts on us. We want to be able to be free. And that's what makes us free.
Right.
Not only the hormones, like, yes, the hormones help, but being able to, like, you probably saw my post. I for the first time the other day, I got to walk around without a shirt, and it felt so good to feel that breeze hit my chest and not have to worry about a binder.
Right.
And
right.
And then the next day, that's when I get the phone call that, oh, by the way, 99.9%. She told me straight up, she's like, I'm not going to lie to you, Landon. She was like, I'm 99.9% sure you're going to lose your job over this. All because I had a surgery to make me feel okay, to make me feel better about myself.
And be more functional in your job, probably. Be better at what you do.
And that's what I'm saying.
People don't realize that we're binding. Whatever's in front of us is holding us up from doing maybe, let's say you lift stuff up on your job like boxes. Those boxes are like this, and it's very uncomfortable. You learn to adjust. But as soon as you're able to pick up stuff like this closer to your body, it's so much comfortable. It's so much easier. Less stress on the back. People don't realize that.
And see what they're saying. Like, my doctor, the whole thing that started it was, you know, when you have a hematoma, you have to watch that area closely. You have to. So I was supposed to go back September 11th, but I'm still having a complication, like a little small one with this one. He wants to make sure that it's completely healed. Right. And at my work, they can't meet my limitations because I do physical labor. I can't lift. Okay, for example, earlier I was trying to do some yard work because I was tired of being cooped up in the house.
Right.
And I went like this and like threw a piece of glass or something. And when I did, I felt the pain go all the way down to my pec. And I was like, I literally went like this because it hurt.
Right.
And I know my body still isn't healed. So I stopped what I was doing. I was like, I'm not going to do that. So, but my work can't meet my limitations because I physically am lifting, pushing, pulling, everything. So it's like, they don't care. They don't care about any of that. All they see it is, I'm making money off this person, so what does it matter?
And you know, you're at a higher firewheel state, so now they're going to use that shit to their advantage.
And they're using it against me. So it's just like, you know, they can fire you for anything. So basically, when I talked to the lady, she was like, yeah, because the place I'm going through is, I don't know, matrix absence, which they can choose if they want to cover my leave of absence. And they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They've made it clear they're not going to because it wasn't medically necessary.
Right.
At all. So I'm going to have to fight it in court and say, hey, it actually was necessary because most trans men need this. They need that. Like, they'll have it at their time when it's supposed to happen, yes.
Right.
Mine just happened a lot sooner than I thought it was going to happen. I didn't, like I tell everybody, I didn't know it was going to happen this fast. I had no idea.
Right.
But the crazy thing is, Flex, in my insurance policy, for them to cover my top surgery, they had to have letter from therapists, like what we have to have. We have to go through guidelines.
Right.
For them to cover my insurance, cover my top surgery, I only had to pay the doctor. And then I had to pay the hospital a little bit to do the surgery. But in the paperwork, it said, by the laws of my work, I had to have a letter from a therapist stating I have gender dysmorphia.
Right.
And have a letter from my primary care saying I was on hormones long enough to have top surgery. I've been on hormones for 1.5 years.
Right.
And I'm just like, so you rather me sit at home, struggle, and think about, because when you're sitting here and your work's not paying you, bills pile on top of bills.
Yes, they do.
And they keep going. So I'm sitting here trying, I feel I'm fucking fantastic. I'm happy because I don't have to literally carry the weight on my chest no more.
Right.
But instead it's on my shoulders now because I have to worry about, you know, what's going on with my family. I told you what's going on.
Right.
And then now this. So I'm doing my part and preparing myself for, if I get fired, I can have another job in a heartbeat to be able to take care of my family and take care of the things I have to take care of. And then on top of it, handle my own with this whole court shit now with them.
Right.
But I looked into a lawyer as soon as I talked to that one lady. I was like, I'm not going to be treated unfair. I'm not only doing this for me. I'm doing this for my other brothers. I don't want them to have to worry about shit like this like I do now. I told my mom here, like, I felt like I was disappointing her because, you know, we're already going through enough in my family right now.
Right.
And Mom, I want you to know something. I said, I don't know if I'm about to lose my job. I don't know.
Right.
I said, but I am not going to let someone else go through what I'm going through just because.
Right.
I took my livelihood, the only way I know how to compare it, it was life or death for me, for my time.
Right.
Was life or death. And I'm so happy. Like, I show this shit off all the fucking time.
Me too.
I'm fucking happy. Like, I'm fucking happy. Like, and for someone to basically, like, just come out of nowhere and, like, slap me in the face and say, well, you might lose your job, because I finally did what made me happy. And
Right.
it's like, well, you don't deserve me then. You don't deserve my hard work that I put in. And I know I'll find something better, but I will be damned.
It's just frustrating. It's damn well frustrating. But
That's
let
why
me
I'm so
tell you something.
frustrated.
Let me tell you something. And I'm going to say this to everyone out there. My father said this to me when I told him I was going to transition. If it's going to make you happy to be who you need to be for you, don't let nobody take away your happiness.
And I don't.
And don't let, and if you do, I'm coming for you, Landon. I'm going to smack the back of your head. So I'm just letting you know, don't let
I'm not.
anyone take away your happiness. Go forward and be happy and joyful and smile each day. No
I'll
matter how
smile in
bad
their
it
face and kill
gets
them with
better.
kindness.
We always got to hit a wall, but as soon as we get to, I'm telling you, you're going to get through this and you're going to be like, that was nothing back there. That was nothing.
I'm gonna take a stand for me and my other brothers, plain and fucking simple. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not gonna treat me or my fellow trans brothers the way you're treating
All
me.
right.
I'm
All
not.
right.
I want to take a stand for y'all because y'all know what it's like. Even my brothers, that it don't make you any less of a man just because you're not on hormones and you're pre-transition. That doesn't mean shit. I'm still gonna take a stand for you. Even with my sisters, I'm still gonna take a stand for all of it because it's unfair. It's not how it should be. I mean, yes, I'm in the Bible Belt, but that still doesn't make it okay. It's not okay.
Right. You're
Like
right.
I was talking to my twin sister, and my twin sister's a lesbian. She faces issues every single day because she's a lesbian, and I don't think it's right. It's not fair. Like how me and you were talking about a movement, like going to the state capitol or something, and just having all of us there to show we are not invisible. We are
Right.
real. We face real issues, but no one
Yep.
acknowledges it because we're invisible. We aren't. Like this whole situation that's going on, I'm not letting anyone get away with this. I am not. Because it makes me so heated that I can't even go to my own workplace and be respected as a man because I don't look man enough or I don't sound man enough. And I face that every day, and then you want to give someone else my job because I did something that makes me feel better. Sorry, but that doesn't sit right with me, especially when I bust my ass
Right. Right.
and I do something that makes me feel good. That's why I've said, like, I'm done with it. Like, I used to keep calm about it and say, you know what, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And then when that one guy called me and told me that it was a disease, I was like, I educated him. I was like, first off, sir, if you look it up, it's not a disease. If you want to be fair, it's a disorder. And then when I went to the doctor, I was standing there and he literally sent in the paperwork right in front of me, Flex, right in front of me. So 2 hours later, I called them back and I was like, I know you have the paperwork. I know how faxes work. You get that like in like an hour. I know you got it. And that's when I spoke to the woman that was more understanding, and she's like, can you express to me what's going on? And I told her, I said, I want you to know I'm female to male. Every time you call me by my birth name, I don't know how to respond to that because I do not go by that. I was like, I
Right.
understand my name is legally blank, 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 but I go by Landon. And as soon as I said that, Flex, she started calling me Landon. She started calling me he. She was respecting me because it's all about respect.
You're
And
right.
she said, Landon, she goes, but I want to be honest with you because this is just how it goes. In this kind of situation, she said, if I had a choice, I would agree with you 110% and take care of it for you so you wouldn't have to worry about all this. She said,
Right.
but sadly, it's not up to me. She said, your policy states if it's medically necessary, and she said in the state of Georgia, they probably will not recognize it as necessary.
That's
Unless,
right. That's how they
uh,
look. North Carolina, South Carolina is the same state. And we've been fighting it, and it depends on the doctor and how they put the codes in and how they get that money. That's all it
And
is.
the only way that I can think of it, what I can try and do is my T doctor. I told you she's fucking phenomenal. She's great. I see her Friday, but she's been getting on to me about going to a thyroid specialist, and I haven't went because I haven't been getting paid because of the surgery.
Right.
She's gonna yell at me for not going to the thyroid doctor, but you know, I want, you know, I'm gonna talk to her and see if there's any way she can help me because I'm
Okay.
gonna explain to her what's going on, and maybe she can help some way somehow. I'm sure she'll try everything she can. I mean, before when I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, she changed it to I had a chemical imbalance that she had to fix.
Right.
So it was testosterone injections, but she changed it so that my insurance would help.
Right.
And now it's like, if I don't get it figured out, it's automatic termination. They will call it as no call, no show for a month
You
and a
hear what you
half.
see what now did you hear what Trenton say? Trenton said legally watch what you say on here as well.
Oh, I am.
Good. Good.
I'm Sitzer myself. I already know what. I know they can watch me. But
Right.
I know what can happen and what percussions can come out of it.
Right.
But I just want everyone to know that I'm not only doing this for me, I'm doing this for everyone because it's not right. It's not okay. And if I do lose my job over it, that's all I gotta say. You already know what I'm trying to say. It's done. Like, y'all haven't seen Landon upset. Y'all haven't seen Landon mad because I channel my stuff pretty well. I meditate and everything. So I keep myself at a good positive energy. Like, I
Good.
use my chakra really good. But I'm sick of seeing trans brothers get treated differently. I'm fucking sick of it. Like, for example, Six Flags, okay? I went there with my twin sister. I couldn't get on the rides, obviously. I'm still
Right.
sore, you know.
Right.
And I go into the bathroom. Mind you, Flex, all the bathrooms, like the stalls, the doors are open. Like,
Oh shit.
and I had to pee so bad, Flex. So bad. And I like walk in and then I'm like, oh fuck. So I like walk out and my twin sister's like, what, Bubba? I was like, I can't go in there. And she was like, why? I was like, you know, there's no doors, that they're all open. So she was like, okay. So she just walked with me to a different bathroom and she walked in there first just to make sure like I was
Right. Right. And
and
that's what we have to
that's what
do
we need.
sometimes.
We have to do that. We have to have that support. See, I'm lucky that I have a twin sister.
Right. Right.
She can
Right.
go
And I
there.
have that. I have that support because I have my son. So if we
Yep.
go somewhere, you know, he could stand there and somebody could look at him and he'd be like, he got a shit. He
Yeah.
could say, well, he's got a shit, you know.
That's what my
Ain't nobody
sister was
wants some
like. She
shit.
was like, he just has the shit. Like, he's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And she always just makes sure like I'm okay, like I'm fine.
Right.
Because when I'm a little guy, like I'm not a tall guy. Like
Yeah,
I'm
we
5'4".
little. We some little men.
I'm fucking little, so
Yeah.
like, people look at me. But like I tell people all the time, make sure you're comfortable before you walk in there because they notice if you're going in there uncomfortable. They know, and then they start asking questions.
Right. Right.
So you always gotta go in there comfortable.
Yeah, because I've had some issues where I've gone into a public restroom and somebody was on the pot and they only have they have a stall and then they have the urinal. And the guy was like in the stall for like 6 days and 4 nights. And I was like, man, I got to urinate. And one of the girls was, I hang out with a lot of trans girls. She's like, what's the problem? I said, I got a pee-pee. She said, hold up. So she went to the ladies' room and she goes, go in there real quick. She said, I got your back. So she went in the bathroom and she was like, I'll go in there real quick because I know you don't stay for long. I said, okay. So I went in and came out. And as I was coming out, she goes, "Come on out, nobody's looking." So, you got to do that sometimes. This was in a
Sister does
restaurant.
that to me. Like if we go to a bar together or something. Well,
Yeah,
I don't drink anymore now, but when we did before, um, it actually happened to me. Like that, she said it was when I was first trying to get comfortable going into the men's bathroom, and she was like, "Okay, I'll spot you. Like it's okay. Like no one's in here." Well, we didn't know there was another drunk guy in there. Had no fucking idea. Well, she was standing outside the door, and that's when I told you that drunk guy came up and fucking grabbed me by my throat and jacked me up and was like, get the fuck out of here, you FAGGOT. And I
yeah,
was like, whoa. I was too drunk. So I was like, I'm not going to fight you right now for one, because I'd probably get my ass kicked because I'm drunk.
right.
But, I was like, whoa. And my sister, she looks just like me. She just has more meat on her bones. She was like, you don't touch my fucking brother, you fucking dick. Like all this stuff. And I was like, Zena, I was like, I'm too drunk for this. Like, I can't, like,
Right,
I was
right.
scared. It happens. It happens all the time. Like, I told my mom earlier, I was like, Mom, I guess it's just me. I was like, but I'm still afraid that what if, like, because I talk with my hands, gay men love me. They do. And I talk with my hands, and I am pansexual, and I am attracted to men, like I am. And
Right.
what they just want to beat the shit out of me just because, like, I'm different. Like, what if they can tell, like that
Yeah.
I was born female or something. I mean, I know I don't look it anymore, but I still have feminine
I do
characteristics.
too.
Like,
I have the characters too, and I think a lot of times people think I'm this little gay man, so I go with the gay man syndrome.
I'm okay
I
with it.
do. I go with the gay man syndrome and just let it go. And see, people
Yeah.
see me in the club, they're like, "Oh, he's a leather man. He's got his nose pierced." They like, "Oh, he's a little kinky man," that kind of thing. So I go with the gay man syndrome sometimes. If I'm in an arena that thinks I'm
I
gay,
go
I'm
with
like,
the
yeah,
twink. It's okay.
I can't do twink.
I
I
go with
can't.
the
I ain't
twink.
that
I mean,
strong.
I'm little.
Yeah, you can do the twink. So, and sometimes it's funny when you're with several trans men and they don't know we're trans, they think we're a whole bunch of gay men. That's the fun part. They think
Yeah,
we're just little gay men.
they do.
So that's the fun part.
I'm
I
okay
like
with it.
that
I'm
part
just like,
sometimes.
yeah. I was like, I like men, so it's all right. I'm not mad. Like, y'all can get mad at me. Like, I like, they're just afraid because people are different. That's all it is. They don't understand, so they want to be dicks. That's
Right.
all it.
Right. But
And
I will say this to you. You'll get through this and we support you, and I'm quite sure you'll have a great network of people to work with for this situation. It's going to work out in your behalf because you know there's always one of us that has to be visible for some form of cause. And I've been
yeah.
doing it for a long time in North Carolina, South Carolina, so and
Well,
mostly
I
in North
might be
Carolina.
moving up near you soon. By the way.
We'll talk about that another day.
I am. I'm probably moving up there probably in October, more than likely.
Really?
Yes, because I'm talking to someone and we're probably moving in Asheville. So,
Oh, you're moving towards the mountains.
yeah.
Okay.
But I'll stop and come see you and visit you.
You'll be 3 hours away if you move to Asheville.
And I will come visit you.
Well, there you go.
But I'll probably be a lot closer.
Asheville's a very good area. It's a very, very welcoming. It's in the mountains, and the mountains of North Carolina, so and up the hills. I call the hills, and they're like their own little colony up there. It's a great LGBT transgender community.
That's why
Very
we want to move
supportive.
there. We want to move to a place that is accepting because I've spoken to her about the issues I have here. And
Okay.
that I want to be somewhere where I'm comfortable. Like, yes, I'm 30 minutes from Atlanta. I'm in Gwinnett. I'm 30 minutes from Atlanta. But I'm in conservative Gwinnett County. Like, I am in
Yeah,
Gwinnett
it's
County.
different. Georgia is so much different than people don't have no idea. In the little rural areas, it's a lot different than Atlanta. You know,
Yeah.
I found that out with friends. And I live in an area that's very welcoming to our LGBT community. And people are like, "You're kidding me." I'm like, "Nope, no problem at all. We have no problem. We have so many gay activities in this town. You laugh
That's
because we get along
fun.
with everybody. And the main
That's
and the
how.
club, yeah, and the local bars, they love us walking in the door. There's one bar downtown that on a certain night you'll see all the gay men in there, and you're like, "Why are all these gay men in this one bar?" There's
See,
no way. There might be one fag hag, as they call them, hanging out. You know, the more fag, they call them fag hags. But the rest of them are gay men. Why are they all in the bar talking? What is going on here? Then you
see, I
go to
need
another
to go there.
bar and everybody's dancing and hoopla in the other bar, and you're like, something's going on in this bar. So our clubs, our bars here in my little town of Winston-Salem are very LGBT friendly. Don't
That's what
care.
I was trying to tell her we should move to. That's where I told her we should. And she was like, "Well, I like Asheville too because I like the mountains." And I was like, "I do too." I was like, "But I'm trying to talk her." And she was talking about moving closer to me. And I was like, "Well, it's not really gay LGBTQ friendly here. Like, it's not. It's not friendly here at all." So, but hopefully,
We'll
like, we can
see.
find somewhere that's friendly because she has two daughters, and I
Okay.
want them to see that, like, it's okay to be who you are. Like, they love me to death. Like, they adore me.
Awesome.
They asked me to be their stepdad.
Wow. How do you feel about that?
It made me feel really good. She literally sent me a video of it, and her daughter was talking to me, and she was like, "I want a stepdad that loves my mom no matter what, and
Wow.
I want my mom to be happy, and you make my mommy happy, and I want my mommy to stay happy." And she's like, "I think you're handsome, and I think you would be perfect for my mommy." So it made me feel good. Like, I tell everyone, blood doesn't make family. Like, if I can give them that, that's what I want to do. I want to be like, because I do want a family. That's all I ever wanted, growing
You
up
ready to
too.
be a dad, aren't you? You ready to be somebody's dad. You know,
Like,
I always say this. My experience as being, I was married to someone and she had two children and it was trying because they were already in the relate. You know, she had a Mariah. But as we grew in a family, me and the kids were, I was an at-home dad and I was like the best. I'm a brag because everybody that knew me then when I was a father said I was the best dad anybody could have. I gave those kids the world. I didn't have to be materialistic. I just gave them what they needed as a father. And they got that from me. And from that, they grew into great kids. They really did.
and
Awesome
that's
kids.
saying, like, I just want to show them because in the video, she's like, "You're not gonna show this to my real dad, are you?" Because their real parents, her real father, does not see them. He
Right,
refuses,
right.
and I'm making that effort to be there and
Be
be
present.
that support and say it's okay. Like, there's an age difference between me and the woman. Obviously, I like older women. I can't help it.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I would understand, like, if it was a younger thing, but no, it's definitely not like that. But they look at me as a model because I am still, like, even though I'm here and they're there, I still try to
Fit
talk to
them
them.
in. Right,
You know,
right.
basically tuck them in. Like, when she was tucking them in earlier, I was on FaceTime, and I was
Okay.
like, "Good night, kids. Like, sleep good. Don't forget to read your book." And I was like, "I'll be there soon to read a book to you."
Right,
Like, that's the small things like that they want to hear. Like, hear that you're here for them. Like, you can
right.
talk to them. And I told him, I said, if you ever need to talk to, Landon, I'm here. Like, I want you to know that I support you. Like, that, talk to me about things.
Right,
And then
right.
when she sent me that video, that, like, melted my heart because I was like, "Oh my god, that was so cute." Like, she was like, "I want you to be my stepdad," and I'm just like, because I want to be a dad. I want to be a
So
dad so
so
bad.
so you are ready to be. It's amazing to be a trans man and be have a family. It's a very unique feeling because in a way,
Mm,
would I say to you? Can I ask you? Would that complete your manhood in a way?
yeah, it would because I've always had like when I was a kid when we would play mommy and daddy. I was always the man, I was always the dad in mommy and daddy as a kid. I would always do like go to work, provide for my family as a kid, like when we would play dolls and stuff.
Right.
And now it's like real life. And, I've had my top surgery. I'm on hormones. I want to be a father. That's my goal. And like we were talking about like having kids, like a one of ours, like ours.
Right. Right.
And I was like, your kids will be my kids, yes, but we could have one that is physically
Ours.
ours, like
Right.
ours
Right.
together.
Right.
And she said she would do that. She would want that too. That made me feel so because I've never had someone say they wanted to have kids with me. It was
Hmm.
always, oh, you're talking crazy stuff. What are you gonna say to your kid? Like when your kid asks you why you have those scars on your well, when my kid gets to that age where I can explain to them, then I will when they get to that age. But they can look at me and call me dad because that's what I am. I'm a man and I can be a father, regardless if I'm a trans man or not. They're man. I'm a dad. I was in a relationship with a girl for um shit 5 years, and I raised her son. Her son was mixed, and he called me dad all the time. He called me dad till he was 6 years old,
Wow.
and she ripped him from me, like literally took him from me because
Yeah.
she chose drugs over her child, and she
Yeah.
just ripped him out of my life, and I never saw that kid again. But I know he still asks for me all the time. He's like, "Where's dad?"
When you touch a child's life, anyone touches a child's life, the memory is always there somewhere along the line. There is
It's
some form of memory. And
It's
so,
just like my godson. My
yeah,
godson does the same thing. He's like, "Where's Uncle Andon?" Because he can't say Landon. He's like, "Where's Uncle
yeah,
Andon?"
yeah.
Because he knew me. That he knew I held him when he was a baby, and he's still in my life. I
Hmm.
FaceTime him all the time. He hits the screen. He's like, "I can't get you out of the screen," and I'm
It's
like, "Well,
amazing because at my age, at 56, I would love to have one child.
mm-hmm,
But I have to have the perfect mate for that because not everybody can be a great um, complementary mate to have children with. I have to have the perfect mate for that. So I'm hoping that one day I will find my final mate and we will have a child. And if she has a child, I'll be willing to accept that child for my child. Even
exactly."
if as a third or fourth parent or where it is, I would accept that child for my child. So I'm hoping that one day, and there is a young lady out there that I had discussion with that has a child, and I told her, I said, if there's ever a time, I will be the future. I will be, you will be the future, and I'll be vice versa. So we'll see what happens if I ever find that
And that's
woman
how
out there. And if she's older, I just want us to enjoy life like two old people and have a great time. Have a
that's
great
what I'm
time.
saying. Like she asked me, did it bother her? Because she's 33, I'm 26, and I was like, no, like that doesn't. You're fucking gorgeous for one.
Right. Right.
And she was like, well, some people look at it like I have baggage because I have two kids by my ex, and I was like, that's not baggage. That's a blessing. That is a fucking blessing. I said, and I looked at her and I was like, I don't think of you any differently just because you have two kids. Like, I don't.
Right.
If we get to that point in life, like because now we're talking about her moving here or me moving there. Like, if we get to that point where we're stable, and because she's a mental health practitioner, like she has a very good job. Like
Right. Right.
does things to help people.
Right.
If we get to that point in our life where we think we're ready for it, like I told her, I wasn't looking for a relationship when she came along. Like, we were good friends. Like, I wasn't looking for it like that. Like, of course I was like, damn, she's fucking pretty. Like, she's really pretty. But I didn't think she had feelings for me.
Right.
And then we had a very serious talk. And she was like, Landon, she's like, I gotta tell you something. And I was like, what? And she was like, I really have feelings for you. She was like, but I don't want you to think of me differently because I have kids. I was like, that doesn't make me think of you any differently. If anything, that makes me love you even more because
Right.
kids are beautiful. They're a blessing.
Right.
And I told her my story. I was like, I wanted kids. I wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have that choice because I had polycystic
Right.
ovarian
Right.
syndrome.
You're ready to be
I
a parent.
I
I think.
I wanted to be a dad
Right.
and
I
have my
think. I think the one thing with a lot of us, we would love to have children. That's like the epitome of completion of being the father, the man you are, because all of that comes as being the man you are. I think a lot of us love to have children. Some of us aren't ready to have children. Some of us are too old to have children. Me, I would love to have a mate that says, okay, if we don't have children, we go get two puppies and two little
exactly.
dogs. But I need that completion of a relationship that's stable, that's consistent. And should we decide to have children, one child, I don't care if we adopt it, whatever, we have that one
I'm
child.
adopted. I'm adopted. It's proof. Like, my mom had two kids. My adopted mom had two kids. I told you my adopted sister
Right,
passed.
right,
She, I'm adopted. I have an older brother, legally by adoption, and my mom adopted me and my twin sister. And I even told the person I'm talking to, I said, even if we can't have kids, we can still adopt. It will be ours. I don't care at
hmm
all. As long as my baby is beautiful and healthy. That's all I care about.
that's it.
That's
That's
all I
it.
want because I want to be a father. I want to be able to, if I have a son or daughter, to look at me and say, hey, Dad, I need help with my homework. Hey, Dad, can you read me this bedtime story? Like, that's what I want. And sadly, I couldn't save my eggs because I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I couldn't have that choice to carry my kid.
Right, right.
My body didn't allow.
You say that because I realistically, I said this to somebody the other day. I said, at my age, I can't bear children because it may be complications. But had I been younger, like your age, and someone asked me about, like, how do you feel about trans men that are pregnant? How do you feel about pregnant trans men?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, how do you feel about it?
I feel like if you want to do it, do it. I actually saw something online the other day. It was like this post somebody had posted about the guy that was pregnant. I can't remember his name. You probably know what I'm talking about. The first trans guy that was pregnant.
Right, yeah,
He,
yeah.
he still had his reproductive organs. So him and his partner, another trans person, had a baby together because he still had his reproductive organ. He got so much backlash for it by the Republicans, all of it,
Oh, yeah, by everybody.
by
By
everybody.
everybody. But I feel like if your body allows you to do that,
Do it.
why not? If you decide if
Exactly.
you want to have a family and that's the way of cutting the cost of artificial insemination and all the BS,
Do it.
do it. Do it.
Exactly.
If you know that's where you need to be in your life, that's what you need to do for you, you do it. Like I said earlier, whatever makes you happy for you, do it. Don't let no one take it from you. So for me, if I met someone like, let's say I was like 30, and someone says, Flex, I really want to have a family. I would do it. I really would. I really would. Even if, and y'all think I'm crazy because I love the trans women. Even if there was a trans woman that says, you know what, you my best friend, but we could never marry, but I want a child. And I'd be like, yeah, me too. I would share that responsibility.
That's what my friend did. My friend did it, and they have a beautiful baby boy together.
I would share that responsibility.
And if I could have done it, I would have done it in a heartbeat. In a damn heartbeat, no questions asked, because I wanted a baby so bad, but I couldn't do it. And when I saw that post, somebody had posted it and they were just like, I don't understand this. Like, I really don't. And I commented on it. And I said, from a fellow trans guy himself, because the comments on it were people stating their opinion, which everybody has their own opinion. But this
Yep.
person commented on it and said, this is probably the closest thing to mental illness I've ever seen.
Right.
That pissed me off. And I was like, I wasn't ugly again. I said, from a fellow trans guy himself, when you want a child so bad, you don't care what you have to do to make that happen. You don't. And then another person commented and said, I'm a lesbian and I don't understand trans people.
It's not meant for you to understand.
What don't you understand? For one, for being part of the LGBTQ community, you're supposed to love everybody under our umbrella, but you're basically stating to hate it. You get what I'm saying? And so I put on it, I said, this man chose to have a family, of his own genetics. So,
Right.
with that being said, if you have your reproductive organs still, I wish I still had mine, only because I would want a kid of my own. But I didn't have that choice. So basically,
Right.
you're born into your body for your body. If you want to use your reproductive organs and you're a man to have your own kid, do it. Do what makes you happy. And that's what I
Happy. Yep.
stated and that's what I stated in the comments. I said, do what you want with your body. Do what makes you happy. If I want to pierce my nose, I'm going to do it because it makes me happy. If I want to get a tattoo, it makes me happy. If I want to have a baby, or if I want to date a trans woman, that's up to me. I do what makes me happy. I don't live for no one but me. So when I saw
And
that,
I do it with respect.
it
But I will
hurt my
say, whatever
heart.
you do it respect for yourself, and respect that if you do it respectfully for yourself, others will respect your choices. People say that's not true, but they
Exactly.
will. If you have
They will.
integrity and respect about what you're doing, people will learn to respect you and say, you know what, that's your business. Do you? I don't agree
Do
with it, but
you
that's your
do what makes
business.
you
Because I'm
Yeah,
learning that with my transition, my family may not agree with my transition, but it ain't their reason. It's not their point to agree. It's for them to learn to
exactly.
understand with respect. So now they're respecting my decision to do what I need to do for my well-being, because it wasn't a choice, like someone said earlier. I made the choice to make that decision for me. So, when when you start to respect yourself and everything that you do, believe it or not, um,
You're right, Adam. You're
you're right,
right.
Adam. Believe it or not, if you're respecting yourself with your choices, others will learn, but nothing but to give you back that respect as well.
Exactly. Like
And Adam
my
made a point. He said it doesn't make you less of a man as a trans man to carry your own child. It makes you more of a man. Shit.
Yes, it does. My
Some men look. Natural born genetic men cannot carry babies. If they could carry babies, they'd probably be as strong. Some men would probably be stronger mentally, physically, emotionally than what they are now. And have
exactly. I was
respect to be responsible for their child.
and they would understand what bodies go through pregnancy. Because I will be upfront and honest. Okay, at one time I did get pregnant. I have been. I've been
I
pregnant
did
before.
too. I did too.
And you know, it's a touchy subject for me only because I lost that baby. My body was
I did
not
too. I
my
did
body
too.
was not ready
Right.
for it.
Right.
And I feel like that happened because I was not ready. I was not ready.
But
And
it
that's
gave
why
you an experience. But you
I
experienced that feeling that no other person could have experienced
no one
but
could
you at the
take
time.
that feeling from me.
That's
No
right.
one could take
That's
it. So,
right.
a lot of people don't want to. A lot of people fail to realize, like, yes, we are trans men, but yes, we are born females, but we still feel the same thing that a woman does because we had to experience that. It breaks my heart every single day that I wasn't able to carry my baby. But there was
Right.
a reason for it. There was I wasn't ready. That's how I see it. I wasn't ready.
That's right.
There was a different plan for me. But look where I am now. I'm I'm talking to someone that has kids. As I tell my friends all the time, I still carry that soul with me that I had in my body. I don't know if it was a boy, I don't know if it was a girl, but I still carry that soul. And that part of me will never, like, it will never leave my side. That's why I'm fully supportive of trans men having babies. I'm okay with it.
Let me address something. Somebody made a comment, and their comment was Pretty Rice said, I have a question. If a trans man have a baby by giving birth, wouldn't that take away from their manhood? I mean,
No,
no,
no.
it gives them more of a manhood. It is just the process of childbirth. It is just the process of what our bodies allow us to do.
Our
And
body still allows us to
just
be
to
able to
produce,
give
yeah,
birth. Like
yeah,
we can still give birth.
right, right.
And
So
also, like with most trans guys, when they're giving birth to children, they have to stop the hormones. Most of the time, they have to stop the hormones.
yeah, because it'll
So
affect the
that
baby. It'll affect the
that
baby.
it
It'll
can
affect the
affect the
baby.
baby. So
And
they have
Adam
to stop.
answered that just well. Adam said it honestly depends on the man and how they feel about it. And that is so true. Some men it takes away, some it don't. For me, like I said, if I was in my 30s and I had a child, it wouldn't take away me of who I am as a man. To me, I would feel honored to have that experience and know that the connection I have with my child is just as deep as it would have been without me having that child.
And see, another great thing about me, like y'all know, I have an identical twin sister. Well, we still say we're identical, even though we look different now. But see,
Right.
with my genes, I have an identical twin sister. It's gotten down to the point where she knows that I cannot physically have kids anymore.
Right.
She even said that she would take on, and it means so much to me, she would take on having a kid for me just so it could have my genetics. So it would look like me and be my kid. My sister would sacrifice, and mind y'all, my twin sister is married to a woman. She would put that weight on her so I would have a kid. So that means a lot to me, considering the fact that my sister knows how much that means to me. That she would do that for me so I could have a kid.
Right. And I think a lot of times for some trans men, if they're able to still birth for children, they want their genetics, 100% of their DNA and genetics shared into that child. So I think that's the question that I'm answering now is it depends on the couple and how they're going to have that child. So if I'm with a cisgender female that wants to have children, but she wants my children to look like me, not like her and the sperm donor, she would probably say, I want your egg, but I want your egg inside of me. I want to carry, because sometimes if we still have our eggs, if we haven't had hysterectomy and we still have our eggs, we could freeze them ahead of time, give them to our mate and have that done that way. But if we are either with a mate that is willing to say, I don't mind, I'm making $1,000 a day, you stay home and go ahead and have that baby, we do this. But a lot of times when there are trans men willing to have children, a lot of times it's an idea of having part of our DNA and our chromosomes and all that stuff included in the creation of the child. because I honestly would love a child to look like me or somehow look like me. Something I want. I want something. I want a part of my legacy to be visible.
Exactly.
I don't see anything wrong with that because I
I
feel it
don't.
depends on the individual. Yeah, Pretty Rice said, yeah, she can carry my egg if she wants to. But it is up to the couple how you feel about that. Some trans men would rather have their mate carry the baby. That's
Yep.
fine. It's up to the couple where you
Yep.
are being comfortable as the couple. It is not up to me to say it's for every trans man. It's not up for me to say it's for Landon. It's up to the couple what you may decide. You know, tomorrow Landon might say, nah, I'll let my sister go ahead and carry them babies, whatever, but it depends on the couple making the decision behind that.
Exactly. The couple is you're in that relationship together as one. So
Right.
you both
And there
together
are
make
trans men, and I'm
that
answering this
carry
because
babies.
that carry babies. There are a
I've
lot of
seen
trans men of color that have had babies and beautiful fucking babies. I'm gonna say it right now. Them babies is fine as hell. They daddies look, but the babies are fine as hell. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that. But I'm
my
saying
friend's
that
baby's gorgeous as fuck.
right, it's gorgeous as hell. But what I'm saying is, um, it's up to the trans man if he wants to get pregnant, and if he has not had a hysterectomy, which a lot of them have had,
Me,
then
for
he can
example.
still do that if he desires. I myself had not had a hysterectomy, but I'm too old to carry somebody's baby. I'm almost 60 years old. I ain't carrying nobody's baby. And if you knew how big I was, you'd be like, hell no, you'd be don't fill out. So I'm just making a point clear that no, I'm not going to carry anyone's children. But if I was in my 30s, I would probably do that because I would be honored to carry my own child. I've already had a miscarriage, just like Landon did
Uh,
in our previous lives, as I'll say. I miscarried. So I know that feeling. I know what to expect. I know the joy of carrying that child. So I know for me, it would be a joy to do it again. But at 56, baby, I'm not carrying no babies. I'll carry them in my arm, but I'm not carrying them in my stomach. I just can't do that.
but it doesn't make you any less of a man to carry a baby, and that's what I want him
No,
to
it
understand.
doesn't.
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't.
It does not at all. And when you say that, it just
Traumatic. It's
you
it's
you
it's
gotta think about what trans men have their body already goes through, and when they choose to go through pregnancy, they go through the same thing women go through. They still have their female reproductive organs, so they go through the depression that it comes with pregnancy. They go through all of it. So it doesn't validate their man card of the stereotype that you try to put into it. We're still men. We're still men that can produce a kid because we have not had a hysterectomy. I
right.
excuse me, I wish I could have fully carried my kid to the term. But I was, like I said, I was not ready. So it doesn't change who I am as a person. I'm still a man. I am
Right.
still a feel what a I'm a real boy. I'm still validated as a man
Right.
just
Right.
because I carried a child in me. It doesn't
Right.
take my man card
It's
away
part of it's
at
part
all.
of accepting a lot of this
Accepting
pretty rich
yourself.
rights. Right. Right. Now, the thing about being trans is accepting your genetics of how you were born and accepting the journey that you're traveling. And then if it's up to you, okay, first of all, let me answer this question. What if your girlfriend stops looking at you as her man after you give birth? All because you gave birth. Now she looks at you different. First of all, my mate and I would have to be very, very stable, concrete, and understanding. Before I
Yep.
even go having a baby with somebody, my mate, I would have to know real well to the point where we get to this childbirth issue, it's not an issue of looking at me differently. Now, if I get with somebody tomorrow and I don't know them that well, she may do that to me because I didn't get to know her and she gets to know me for being who I am. So I think a lot of times when we talk about having children and relationships, period, we have children in any relationship, first of all, trans men mature very fast because
Yes.
of what we go through. So when we talk about having children with any mate, male, cisgender male, cisgender female, trans woman, whoever, trans man, I know two trans men that's got a child, that's all I'm gonna say. Look, it's up to the mates and being mature enough to handle this. This is a very heavy, heavy situation, and choice to make is bringing a child in to the world as a trans parent. Because as a trans parent, we have to deal with the consequences of someone outing ourselves to our children, maybe before our children may never know or understand. So we have to sit down and really think about the steps we're taking before we bring a child into this earth. So like Landon said, and I said, we were young. It wasn't meant for us to have children. We miscarried. Honestly, I will say this on this live right now. For me to have a child when I miscarried, I was glad as hell, because you know what? I wasn't ready to have a child. Mentally was not ready to have a child. And I did not think it was fair to bring a child into my body of confusion, of trying to find myself and my own mental stability as a person who was trying to figure out if my problem was sexual or if it was gender, which I found out later it was gender. So I feel in my heart that it was not the time to bring a child in my life. And thank God I didn't, because that child would have probably just been going through changes. To be a trans man of who I am and my experiences, I have been homeless. I have had days where I didn't eat. I've slept on couches. I've done a lot of things. I've lost residence. My mother threw me out. What would it be like to bring a child into the world struggling with me? So honestly, for me not to have a child in my life, it was not that time. And I thank the universe for not allowing me to bring another human body into this world of struggle.
And exactly.
It wasn't meant for that child. Right. It wasn't meant for that child to be in my life, to be on this earth. It wasn't meant for that child to go through struggle. It was meant for that child to be born through that spirit of a child. I'll say spirit, to be given to someone else who could give that growth. Because I would have been hindering that spirit, that body, that child from growing. So honestly, it wasn't meant for me.